Oh, what's up, demons and demonettes? 'Tis I, Atraxi, a demon queen. And today I wanted to give an update on my Lightspend account, and if I pulled for Mikola or not. Spoiler alert, for my avatar, you can tell I did. But before we get into all of that good stuff, as always, toss a like and subscribe down below. Trial of the Abyss. Let's start here. Alright. Alright, so as you can see, I've progressed pretty decently. I've gotten the floor 113. I did drop down to second from first. I won't go over why in a minute, and we'll just kind of go into what I'm doing. Alright, so we'll go into a talent stage here. And so if you watched my previous video, you'll have seen the two teams that I'm running, and this team looks very similar, with a little difference in one key hero. And that hero is Scarletta, so if you build her up, you will be doing pretty good. If not, you're going to have to look at other options. You may actually need her for these higher floors, because we're having to use her to counter enemies like Igor and Thorin. In this case, so what you want to do is with your Scarletta is you're going to have to manual her ult to time it so that you can punt Igor's and Thorin's when they have that last little tick of health. Why Thorin? Because you want to prevent his heal or resurrection from going off, so you have to punt him before he does it. With Igor, you want to prevent his jump, so he doesn't heal again, and do his ult and just mess up your entire team. So you have to punt him when he has that little last tick of health left, and you need to save Scarletta's ult to do that. Alright, so if you're in these upper floors, and you cruised along through like 80, and you're in the 90s, and you're kind of getting stuck there, and you're running the teams, and you're still getting stuck. What do I do when I get stuck in those cases is I go into the records. Right, it's the easiest thing you can do, because you can see how people have previously cleared it. So then you want to copy it. So what do I look for when I copy a formation? I look to check to see if the synergy level is at or around the same as my current. I check the power level. That's just kind of like a total of everything. But you want to check here, artifact, inconsequential. The other thing is going to be the heroes, right? So obviously you need all those heroes. You need to have them at or the same hero tier or better. So S+, 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 Supreme. We have that, we're set. Then you want to check the EX weapons. So this is in the 5 to 9 range, that's in the 10 to 14 range, that's in the 0 to 4 range, that's in the 10 to 14 range, and that's in the 10 to 14 range. So if you have usually like a 10, that's what's key. Is really it's what's the ability unlocked, and usually you're gonna see most of these people have 3-star. So all we would do is hit copy, right, and then we could run this team, and it might take a try or two or several or spamming retries, but we'll get it because we know it cleared it. Sometimes you just have to spam it for RNG. All right, things to avoid when copying formations would be something like this. So as you can see, we beat the synergy level, but the problem here is if you look at the levels, they're all really low. This indicates that this person was on the seasonal side of things when they did clear this stage, so that's not going to be very helpful to us because the seasonal levels are much stronger than what we currently have, so we're not going to be able to clear it with this formation, so you can just skip this. One of the other things is you're going to notice that people run Carolina a lot. Now, maybe you got lucky in your polls, unlike me, and you have her, and then you're fine, because you have her, and then you built her to +10, you're good to rock and roll. If you're someone like me, and you didn't get lucky in pulling for her, and you're stuck with just a lousy Mythic copy, and you, for the life of you, cannot get her to Mythic Plus, Supreme, or Supreme Plus, to get her weapon up, we're going to have to drop her out, and we're going to need a sub. So there's 2 heroes I'm going to use to sub for her. And it's going to be kind of situational, depending on the formation. So if they're not using Arden, we'll sub in Arden, right? And we'll just put them in the same spot. If they're currently using Arden in the formation, then we can sub in Floribel, because those are the 2 heroes that kind of do something similar that's very close to what Carolina does. And Floribel may be a little bit better than Carolina in certain situations. Like I've subbed her in for the most part in most of the formations, and I've had no problem. Again, I may have just had to rerun again for RNG, And that's kind of what I've been using. And why do I want to do all this stuff? Again, it's because we want to get all of those wonderful, wonderful rewards. Alright, so let's talk about some of the other places and how we're doing, right? So, I will say this, because it is a light spend account, we are susceptible to somebody else spending more than us. So that's kind of caused us to drop off in certain areas. So for instance, Dream Realm, we dropped from 1 to 2. Not a big issue. Ideally, we want to maintain a top 10 spot to get maximum rewards. Arena. Arena, we've been able to pretty much sit at number 2 and hold our spot. Based on the roster that we have. Some number 1 did figure out my defense, but nobody else could touch it. I changed it up just to potentially give myself a better shot, and then we'll just reevaluate as time goes. The stages, as you can see, we drop down. We are in the infant stages. There's not much reward for pushing too high, so if somebody gets ahead of you and is unlocking for the server, you know, it's not too bad. I could maybe try to catch up if I wanted to, maybe by spending a little bit more money or spending a little bit more time on the content, but it's just not very rewarding. And again, ideally, we just need to maintain that top 5 spot here to get that maximum rewards when the event ends. So as long as we're sitting at number 2, we're pretty good. We have a sizable lead on number 5, so I think we're pretty much set at this point. We'll just kind of like lightly push, day in and day out, just to kind of maintain that position. Underduel doesn't really matter. I do it weekly for the rewards. That's it. Arcane Lab. Oh, and ranking for Guild Supremacy when it's up. Same thing with Arcane Labs. Currently, we have an event going on. So if you're curious about what teams I'm running, you can always check out my guide on that. We cover Arcane Labs in a bit more depth. Battle drills. I mean, that's just ongoing. That's that. So let's cover the roster, where I think I can improve, what I would spend on if I was going to spend more money. Alright, so as you can see, Lily May is pretty much maxed out here. She has Paragon level. Nice. I might try to build her up higher, but I don't have Paragon 2 unlocked, so there's not much point in pulling for her at this time. I'll probably just wait till she moves over to Epic Recruit, or wish list to build her up there, along with the other heroes as I build towards an unlocked Paragon 2. We got Aaron up to Paragon, which is good. Other areas I can improve, you know, is getting more Paragon levels on those key heroes, more for the arena sides, or arena and boss killers. So we already have Marilee, we're working on getting Odie, we have Lily May, we have Smokey, we want to get Thorn up there, Scarlita, potentially, Arden, Florabelle, Huan, Damien, Elsa, Almas. Those are all good heroes. Brian now with his counter for Lily May. We've been working on him. He's been kind of key. Getting maybe him some Paragon levels. Shakir. And then building out the other Hypogeans and Celestials, right? Because we only have Rainer at M+. We have Scarlita at S+. And then we have Dear Fraesto sitting at Supreme. We're currently 3 copies away from getting him to S+. That's kind of the priority. Then it would be to build maybe Dianel, Taylene, and Burial after. Probably going to skip on Burial for sure on this account. Never going to get that low in the priority. I don't know about Taylene and Dianel. We're really close at this point to potentially a new hero or Celestial coming out in the next few weeks. So I'm probably going to hold off on building any of those. I just want to round out Fraesto for his Supreme Plus ability and the extra stats, and then maybe to get him to plus 15. Speaking of plus 15, that's the other area to consider, is developing heroes EX weapons. So like maybe Marilee, we would want to build up to plus 15. We can probably hold off because Lily May is the stronger boss killer at this time, so we can hold off on building our Marilees and Odies. We can build Aaron, Scarlita, Arden, Florabelle, Carolina. We can try to get them up, and Fraesto, maybe up to like 10, 15. Obviously, when I get Carolina unlocked, we want to get her to plus 10. Just that's the certain heroes that we would want to get to plus 15. More focused on the arena side of things. I don't know that we necessarily want to build towards push. Just because we can clear Trial of the Abyss once the season starts and we get those seasonal levels, it's very easy. Mikola. So I did end up building Mikola here, as you can see, and she's at +5. Right, so she's fine at +5. I feel that like her EX weapon is fine at +5, and I think you can kind of get away with her being at Mythic Plus or Supreme because they're about the same. It's just if you have the acorns or not. Ideally, you want to pull her to max if you can, because you do get the Courage Spheres remain affected duration when they control the Honor Arena, and that works well on bosses like Snow Stomper, where they traditionally silence support heroes and they can't really get their heals off. She can, and that's a big help. So why is Mikola so important? Mikola is important because she's a 6 out of 6 in Dream Realm on the seasonal side, and she's kind of like used in everyone in the preseason side too. And she's primarily a Dream Realm character, so you don't really need to build Paragon levels on her. I mean, she has some function in an arena. There are some teams that work with her really well. It's just that you need to be heavily invested in other characters for it to work right. Because, particularly for me, I like to run her with Shakir, Seth, Lily May, and Haywin. And those are already built up characters on my main account. So I don't really have much of a problem, right? Because Shakir's +15, Paragon 3, Lily May's +22, Paragon 3, Seth's Paragon 2 +5. So they're already built up. So it works really well there. But there's just better options, I think, to build towards for Arena. So she kind of drops off there. So she doesn't really need the Paragon levels. So you only really need to build her to S+. Because, again, Dream Realm is currently still the most important mode in the game. Because it is the only mode that awards the yellows. Speaking of yellows, how would I acquire them? Alright, let's go to the good old friend, the trolley. So if I was going to spend anything more at this point, it's going to be on EX weapons. And as you can see, I pulled the all-hero recruits, or both recruit bundles, because I was trying to build for Carolina. But again, I had no luck. I just kept getting everybody else on my recruit lists other than Carolina. It was awful. We would then want to get this to get her EX weapon up to +10. I would just primarily use this to build. I wouldn't touch the limited or the permanent. Well, we're not touching permanent bundles on this account at all. The other option too would be to buy the weekly ones where you get the 110 for 1800. I don't think that's the best buy though. So we're just kind of holding off there. I mean, this one's not too bad. If you want to stock up on epic recruits, you could get the extra 100 here. If you're pulling for the Stargazers, this isn't the best route to go. But, I mean, you got a little bit here. But this is a good one for Stargazers if you want those. So, like in the case of the extra 3 copies for Freyasto, I might get like 1 or 2 of these. And then, so I might get like 1 of these. I'll buy the monthly one always, just because I can get the 40 Stellars and the 80 Yellows, and it's a good source for both of those, and it's a fairly decent price. So I'll buy that, so that'll get me 1 copy of Freyasto. I think I'm like 20 pulls away, so then this will be the other copy of Freyasto, and then I could just build get like the 3rd copy that I finally need for him from here, right? Because we're just going to use the guild store as much as possible, so about like maybe like 1 or 2 weeks away. Probably just 1 week away from getting the extra copy, and I only need 3. So that's kind of what I would do in that case. But overall, I mean, we're still doing pretty good. 2nd place isn't bad. I mean, if I wanted to go to 1st, I could probably go to 1st if I just spent a little bit more money. But I'm not really looking to do that on this account at this time, right? It's because we want to spend Lightspend to dominate early to get maximum rewards for long-term gains. So far, so good. And we're still maintaining a high enough spot that we can continually get our good rewards. Like I said, the only thing I've really had to invest in on this is just invest in Lily May recently and Mikola recently, and that's just because of how strong Mikola is in Dream Realm, and I see her being a big part of the game, at least for next season. And with that, I got nothing else, so I will catch you in the next one. As always, toss any comments or questions down below. Bye!